The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father loves me, so I also love you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy might be in you, and your joy might be complete. This is my commandment: love one another as I love you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends, because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you, and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain. So whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. This I command you: love one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
One of the interesting and fascinating things of living this pandemic, this COVID pandemic here in Texas, in Houston, not being a native Houstonian, is the difficulties that government officials have in getting people to do or not do what they tell us, what they say that it's the best thing to do at this time of the pandemic. Not that this doesn't happen in other states or other countries, but commentators in the newspapers say that this is part of Texas culture. The "don't tread on me, don't tread on me" Texas culture. Texans don't like others to tell them what to do. Texans cherish their freedom, and in their freedom they want the space to choose what is best for their lives. It is difficult to have someone to tell us what to do. Yet the gospel today would seem to challenge that approach. The gospel presents a different perspective. It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain. Jesus making the choice for us. That was the experience of Matthias. Yes, he was available. I bet somebody told him, "Hey, can you be available for this thing of choosing a new apostle?" But ultimately the choice was God's. That was the experience I lived when I chose to apply for admission to the Jesuits. Yes, I had discerned and made a choice that I was going to apply. But eventually with time you realize that I did not choose. I just acquiesced to a call that was presented to me in prayer by God, to a choice made by Jesus, and in my case, long before I realized that I was called. Each one of us has his place in the kingdom. Each one of us has his role to play, his space chosen by Jesus, from which we are called, each one of us, to do something, to make a contribution to the proclamation of the gospel, to plant seeds of the kingdom in our world. Each one of us is chosen. It doesn't necessarily mean a position, a priest or a deacon or a Eucharistic minister, but it is a place, a space in which there's a certain fit between the call in our lives and how we live our lives, the call and our lives. A place in which we find ourselves, in which we find a purpose for our lives. A place that is both a gift, because it's chosen by Jesus for us, but it's also a call, a mission to go out from that space and proclaim the gospel to others. In larger terms, we're talking about a vocation. But I think this also plays out in our day-to-day decisions, in the unfolding of our vocations, in the ordinary lives. Being chosen is not a source of pride, as if you won a contest and are better than the other. I bet Matthias didn't go out and party with his friends that he won, and he beat Barsabbas in the choice of who was going to be the 12th apostle. Being chosen is about finding and humbly welcoming the foundation of our lives, finding that holy grounding deep within ourselves that provides our lives with a sense of coherence, a sense that our lives and our decisions make sense. Being chosen is to find ourselves loved by God, unconditionally loved by God, and called to be friends of the Lord, to find ourselves in a permanent intimacy with God, who cares for us and who sends us. This experience of the love of God is not about feelings. It's not about cuddling under a warm blanket with God to watch TV. It's about fidelity to a truth that provides sense and purpose to our lives. Being chosen means realizing that we're most free when we remain in the love of God. And this requires listening, patient and trusting listening, and letting go of good ideas or plans that we may have that have nothing to do with God. Being chosen is to place ourselves in God's hands and to accept that if we want to bear fruit that will remain, not any kind of fruit, but fruit that will remain, it is not so much about our efforts, about what we can do, as it is about making space in our hearts for the choice that God has made for us. And being chosen, as we read in the Gospel, leads to joy and profound peace. The joys of finding that we belong, that we're part of salvation history, that we are being saved as we contribute to others being saved. It is a joy that nobody can take from us, because it is the joy of being with God. So today let us ask for the grace to remain in God's love, to remain in permanent friendship with the Lord, so we may trust and be open to the choices that God makes for our lives.